third and a couple coming up for Colorado State. They've taken a timeout, looking to extend an 8-point lead.
It's a place where cowboys still roam the range, where falcons soar and cougars prowl. It's a legendary place where the ram and the wolf are equals, and the spirit of the rebel is joined by the hearts of ancient warriors. It's a place where winning or losing is not as important as where you play the game. The Mountain West Conference.
What is in a name? Well, I tell you, there's plenty. Aggies, there's Bearcats, Bulldogs, Boilermakers, Devils, there's the Falcons, Gators, Hawkeyes, Hokies, the Mountaineers, the Owls, the Panthers, the Orangemen, the Rams, the Tigers, the Terrapins, the Vikings, the Warriors, the Yellow Jackets, and the Zips. Trust me, there's a lot in the name. NCAA football. Pass it on.
We welcome you back here at Fort Collins, Colorado. You see Frank Rice walking off, certainly holding that right hand.
Mike, you and Kirk, remember, we're updating this. Colorado State's been inside the red zone 23 times this year, 21 scores, 17 touchdowns to this point. Because they can run, then play action.
McDougal, another blow delivered. Did his knee not come down? It did not. Great balance by McDougal. First and goal in the final 37 seconds.
I know there are a lot of great running backs out there in college football, but I don't know if there's a tougher one than Kevin McDougal. We've seen it all the last 3 times we've been here. You can see how hard he runs. These poor linebackers and safeties come up there. They're minding their own business. They're thinking they're coming up to make a play, and they're ending up on their back. He is running very, very hard tonight.
First and goal. Clock is running. They have 1 timeout left. Hey, Kupari caught it. Then dropped it. He had it, came back down, and lost the handle. Remember, Kupari's in the game a little bit more now because Rice went off with the injury, and Rice is a man who has 6 touchdowns this year.
The other thing about Kevin McDougal, and see if they'll go to him here, he told us this is the healthiest that he has been since the CU game at the beginning of the season. And you could see a difference in his ability to run with authority when he's a healthy back.
If they do run him, they got to call a quick timeout because there's only 20 seconds to go, and if he doesn't get in there, they got to call a timeout and then try to get in for a touchdown.
And they have 1 left with 20 seconds to go. Different formation, first time we've seen this tonight. Toss McDougal, who is throwing. Touchdown! Leon Smith. First career touchdown toss, first touchdown or first overall pass attempt from Kevin McDougal. And a marker comes down.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat the try.
The original course halftime report will come up as soon as we're done. Get back to Chris, Mike, and Rod. Look ahead to the big games on rivalry weekend. This is a great rivalry as well, fueled by the fact that big leads have disappeared 2 of the last 3 years. So even though Air Force is down 14, don't count them out just yet. High snap. C.W. Hurst, not a runner. Well, it's a 14-point lead. Let's go back to something a little bit more artistic.
Well, right away you can see that Air Force is in trouble. Look at all the bodies they have over here. Meanwhile, Colorado State has all these tight ends, and here's a guy to keep an eye on, Leon Smith, number 17. He fakes the block, and absolutely nobody in the corner of the end zone. How about the touch by the running back, Kevin McDougal?
Not bad. McDougal's everything. 11 rushes, 102. 2 receptions, 24 yards. 1 touchdown pass, 3 yards. What do you think about that, Mike Tirico? What do you have for us?
Kevin McDougal's been coming to football games here a long time. His brother was a kicker. You know, his brother threw a key fake pass in his last year here that helped set up a touchdown and a great comeback against Wyoming. McDougal now over 100 yards, as we mentioned, on the ground. There's his younger brother along with his parents, Mike and Kathy. Sean is the little guy in the middle who wears his hat the same way the big brother does.
A little dancing going on here.
He looks like he's got that little bit of flakiness that Kevin has as well. And we say that in a very kind way, too. Touchback for Scotty McKay. Sonny Lubick said about McDougal, he's by far, not even close, the toughest football player that I've ever coached. And you see that in the way he runs all the time.
But you also brought up a good point. I'm not sure, but I think it was 17-point deficit. They've come from behind once. And I think the fact that Air Force goes in and does a nice adjustment at halftime, they're not out of this ball game yet.
Absolutely not. 97, this was a 41-14 Air Force lead on this field. Colorado State stormed back. Last year, Colorado State led 17-0 early. Air Force stormed back to win the game in Colorado Springs. There's work to be done at the half. Sonny Lubick's team has taken advantage of all the opportunities, leading Air Force by 14. Falcons get the ball to start the third quarter. But first, here's Chris Fowler in the studio. Chris?
Well, guys, we talk about Service Academy football usually meaning certain things. One of them, Mike, is sound tackling.
Well, they're very poor in tackling the football, and I think that's given them a problem. And also, they got to throw play-action pass to open up the option game.
Yeah, speaking of the option game, Colorado State has really done a very good job of dictating to Air Force what they can do. They're not letting them get outside, make action on the perimeter. Quarterbacks having to give the ball up. Colorado State, great defensive first half.
But Lee, all over that stat pack, he knows there's been many comebacks in this series, so never give up. Coming up on Original Course Halftime Report, we've got a funny story, controversial story, tragic story, and plenty on the Noles and the Gators, the game of the week, coming up Saturday at the Swamp.
Sports Century Book, a great holiday gift in bookstores now.
The all-in-one, internet-ready Gateway Astro PC is so simple to set up. You'll have it up and running in less than one donut. Just $799 with an Intel Celeron processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
And remember, take it slow, because it's hot out there, dogs.
Beer. Zima.
This is sacred ground. This ranch has been in the Stevens family for 75 years. I know. I've helped 3 generations hold on to it.
Tom Rose, AXA Advisors.
The only way to keep a business successful and in the family is with smart planning.
AXA Advisors, part of a global company helping 40 million people.
It's tough out here. The weather, beef prices, and there's an uncle named Sam who always gets his cut.
AXA Advisors, building futures.
This halftime report is presented by Original Coors. Expect more from an original. Original Coors.
Well, Steve Spurrier arrived at Florida in the 90s, and since then, the Gators and the Seminoles has been perhaps the best rivalry in all of sports. Major significance, national title implications every year since 1992. Last time a road team won was 93. Now, neither side fears the other's stadium, but it's tough to overcome that swamp crowd, and the Noles have not been a good road team this year, especially at the start. They've fallen behind. Now, the bread and butter over the years has been the Noles pass rush. They don't have as many sacks as one of their vintage defenses. Are these guys good enough to get to Johnson and Palmer, whoever's in there for Florida?
They're good enough, and they're going to crank it up in this ball game because they're going to go after Doug Johnson with a pass rush, a relentless pass rush. Here, Corey Simon, who leads the defense, being double teamed, beats the double team and gets pressure on the quarterback. Corey Simon with 19 tackles for losses, 4 sacks. Here's a twist move. Look at the belt again on the quarterback. The Gators have only allowed 16 sacks. Roland Seymour with good pursuit against the quarterback. A very good defense.
You have a lot of love for Florida State, huh?
They're a very good football team. Yeah. Very talented. Very talented.
They are. Florida's not bad either, and particularly on defense. Everybody talks about the defensive line, but I really think the key is their strong safety, Marquand Manuel. This guy's really come to play, and if you watch him on tape, you'll see he's the 8th man in the box. And when he's the 8th man in the box, they can't find him, they can't block him. He's free to make tackles, and boy, does he make tackles. He had 20 tackles against Alabama in a big game, had 11 against Tennessee in a big game. Watch him here to the right side. Again, 8th man in the box. They can't account for him. He blitzes the quarterback, makes the play. In order for Florida State to have some success, they've got to make sure they account for him, Chris, and get him out of the box.
That Gator offense has struggled, but you're right. The Gator defense the last 5 games have been playing great. 2 schools of thought: defensive tight game or a wild shootout? What do you think?
I think a wild shootout.
Struggle defensively.
I love when you disagree. Meanwhile, out in the Pac-10, Stanford playing for its first Rose Bowl since the Don Bunce era. Rodney tells you back in 1972 they must beat Cal. It's a matchup of the Cardinal offense against that fine Bears defense. Take you back to 1982. Cal is trailing, but driving, Rodney. Look at this goal line play. Cal ball. It's a touchdown, but no, Gilmore. Gilmore there with the pass breakup. And watch showboating. Coach, he's not just a cover guy. Watch this run support here.
Oh, man, he's been criticizing guys all year for those kind of tackles.
Match set up, and John Elway drives. Stanford's going to win the ball game until the infamous kickoff.
You should have tackled a band member, the tuba guy.
I'm on the sideline thinking, what's going on here? Let me get out there. Oh, they're not going to see it. I was on the field. I was on the field with a cheerleader.
The tuba guy knocked you over. He blocked you.
This is perhaps one of the most famous plays in college football history. Cal runs it in, gets the win. I want you to watch the aftermath, though. Young Gilmore's not going to take this one lying down. He seeks out the zebras. Remember this? There you are. You're right up in his face.
He's still getting on the officials.
I started my law training there.
You almost get hit by a tuba yourself right there. You lost the case right there. Not the last case you've lost. I thought you'd do that old-fashioned.
Oh, geez. That was good.
All right. Coming up on our original Coors Halftime Report, we'll shift gears. We'll talk more about the big games of the weekend as the Blitzers will stop by. In the first half, Matt Newton does a touchdown pass to Pete Rebstock. It's the Rams over the Falcons by 14.
Red is not a color. It's a century-old, kiln-roasted, tawny malt. Traditional Irish taste, which makes Killian's Irish Red bolder, richer, creamier. One look says a lot.
Discipline creates performance. AIM funds. The idea is discipline, the purpose is performance. The name is AIM.
Dave Gardner! We've just routed a bullet train directly to your office. It'll be here in 20 seconds unless you pick the PC that'll reroute the train in time. Will you choose the PC with Intel Pentium 3 or the one with the new AMD Athlon processor? Many people don't know there's a faster PC processor than Pentium 3 at any clock speed. The new AMD Athlon processor. Now you chose wrong, Dave. Too bad you didn't know about the new AMD Athlon processor. Oh, that had to hurt, huh?
Welcome back to the original Coors Halftime Report. Time now for our Halftime Blitzers. A look at the rivalry Saturday games. Auburn, Alabama promises typical intensity. Ohio State, Michigan, little different feel. But first up, Dan Labatard in a game in South Bend with big-time importance.
This rivalry pits the only two Catholic schools playing Division I football, but 7-2 Boston College has had some prayers answered this year, while 5-5 Notre Dame is merely on its knees. Notre Dame must win its final two games or be denied a bowl bid for the first time since 1986, Lou Holtz's first year. Notre Dame has lost 3 offensive line starters the last 2 weeks, killing its ability to run, but Jarius Jackson is nonetheless having the kind of season a Notre Dame QB never has. His 317 passing yards last week were the most at Notre Dame in 20 years, and with 127 more Saturday, he'll have thrown for more yards in a single season than Joe Montana or Joe Theismann. Now to the southeast and Tony Barnhart.
Now, the rivalry between Alabama and Auburn has never been a matter of life and death. Shoot, it's a lot more important than that. But there's going to be a lot more than just bragging rights on the line when Alabama makes its 4th trip ever to Jordan-Hare Stadium. After knocking off unbeaten Mississippi State last week, Alabama needs this win to go back to the SEC championship game for the first time since 1996. The Tide is optimistic as running back Sean Alexander and quarterback Andrew Zhao are finally close to full speed. But Auburn also has some hope. The Tigers are 4-0 in games that quarterback Ben Leard has finished. And after torching Georgia last week, Leard and Ronnie Daniels were facing Alabama secondary that is vulnerable to the big play. Logically, Alabama should win because the Tide has more weapons, but there's never been anything logical about this game. Now let's go out to the Midwest. Gene Wojciechowski.
For the first time in 86 weeks, Ohio State isn't ranked in the top 25. And if the Buckeyes don't beat Michigan at Michigan, they won't be going to a bowl game either. Buckeyes coach John Cooper says Tom Brady is playing the same way Brian Griese did the year Michigan won the national championship, and he isn't exaggerating. The Wolverines' offensive line is finally healthy, which helps explain why Anthony Thomas has 4 consecutive 100-yard games. You couldn't tell by the 46-20 score that Ohio State didn't really play that bad against Illinois last week. The Buckeyes are double-digit underdogs to Michigan, but with tradition and a bowl bid on the line, expect them to keep this game very close. Now to the West and Molly Rowe.
The big game just doesn't get any bigger. This year, a Stanford win sent the Cardinal to the Rose Bowl for the first time in 28 years. But the Pac-10 top defense in Cal could slow the potent offense of Stanford. Cal quarterback Wes Dalton gets his first start since walking on 5 years ago. He replaces Kyle Bowler, who underwent surgery this week for a separated shoulder, suffered in the 3rd quarter last week. Dalton's confidence may be in question after his last-minute comeback attempt against Oregon ended with an interception in the end zone. The Cardinal defense is improving and helped contribute 16 points in last week's crucial win against Arizona State with a fumble recovery for a touchdown, a safety, and an interception return to set up a score.
And meanwhile, another coaching casualty, at least according to the Associated Press, which is reporting that Carl Torbush will be forced out at North Carolina following Saturday's game with Duke. No comment from Torbush. He wouldn't confirm or deny it. Neither would his boss, Dick Bedore. The players say it's news to them. Heels are 2-8. Everybody's disappointed, but now you're very disappointed in Carolina.
I'm disappointed in North Carolina. Class university, a classless move. Carl Torbush is a great guy, academically strong. Players don't get in any trouble. A bowl game last year. He's been the coach for 2 years at a bowl game last year. And now I see an academic foundation education member says, we've had a lot of injuries, but there again, you make your breaks. What's this guy talking about? And Dean Smith in his first year as the basketball coach in North Carolina took over a team that was 19-4. He was 8-9. If this same bunch was at North Carolina, he'd have been out. Yeah. This is a mistake, I'm telling you.
You're right, and I'm with you on this.
2 years.
Well, the other thing you have to remember, too, is that they had a lot of injuries. They lost quarterbacks. You can't play major college football without a quarterback, and they lost their top 2.
They were in a bowl last year. They had a winning season.
Whoever comes in there, assuming this story is true, will have some talent when those guys get back, and we'll have something to build on North Carolina.
Not good.
Meanwhile, in the ACC, a sad story at Clemson. Javis Austin, serious but stable condition after what police say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Police believe that Austin did call 911. After turning a gun on himself, he had his eye removed on Thursday. He was a starter at running back the first couple of games this season. And a very somber night at Texas A&M. A moment of silence observed at the Reed Arena in College Station. Former President George Bush attending as they mourn the at least 9 students who lost their lives when the bonfire under construction collapsed in the wee hours this morning. Several other students were in critical condition. This was a 40-foot-high pyramid of logs being built in preparation for the traditional game with Texas a week from Friday. Officials have decided to cancel that bonfire. We'll be back at halftime after this.
That might be a slam dunk.
Now is the time. The time to save on a new Ford car or truck at your Ford store. Theodore Robbins Ford in Costa Mesa. Theodore Robbins Ford has over 600 new and used cars and trucks with low prices, like this new '99 Explorer, now $5,000 off, or the popular Windstar LX, also $5,000 off, with over 100 of these to select from. Similar savings on all other Ford cars and trucks, and financing is quick and easy. Visit Theodore Robbins Ford on Harbor Boulevard or on the web at robbinsford.com and earn Delta Sky Miles rewards when you purchase from Theodore Robbins Ford.
This is Rich Eisen. Later on SportsCenter, would the Riders make their pitch for a catcher for MVP? Is Emmett ready to go Sunday? And what is the best rivalry in college football? Join me and Dan Patrick, SportsCenter, after the game.
I don't know if I use that as an example of the rivalry. They're going to police that. They promise no pregame problems down at the Swamp. Time now for hidden video. It's Holy Cross at Fordham. Holy Cross punting to Fordham up comfortably. Check this out.
Bobby Finn, the punt return man, on a 4th down and 4. Low snap from center. Trotman gets off a good punt. Fair catch called for by Finn. He loses the ball. Loose ball. It's down near the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line. Still a loose ball, and it's in the end zone. And Holy Cross picks it up for the touchdown.
All right, now watch the subsequent conversion. The ball is booted, it's up, and it's good. Routine PAT. Except, wait a second, the ball out of the ballpark into the street. It just sits there. Wait, here comes a motorist. He opens the door.
Got no chance of getting this ball back.
What's this guy thinking?
Checking around. Anybody looking? Take it up. That's pretty good. Anybody looking? No,
They see me.
I'll see you later.
I'll be back.
I'll bring it back around. No problem. Forget about it. He's on to the major dig, and look at the turn signal. The theft of the football captured on videotape. College Game Day. Join us from Gainesdale. It's the Oaken Bucket game at noon, and then Mike, Ryan, and Adrian, Alabama, Auburn from the Plains in prime time.
For 16 years, John Elway played for one team in one city. 16 years. In today's sports world, that's something you don't expect to hear. So why did he spend his entire career in Colorado? Was it loyalty? Was it commitment? Was it the water?
Expect more from an original. Original Coors. Brewed a mile high.
My beer? Coors. An original Coors.
Grandma, I quit my job.
What?
Done.
What about that rent you promised, Mark?
Internet.
Yeah.
The idea is giant, and I can work out of the house.
This house?
Yeah. Oh, I need a few things.
Data ports, meeting rooms, 24-hour business services, and catering.
What does this look like, a Holiday Inn?
Find out why more business travelers choose us over anyone else. Today's Holiday Inn.
Located just north of Colorado Springs, Colorado, the primary purpose of the United States Air Force Academy is to develop and inspire air and space leaders with vision for tomorrow. All cadets participate in a demanding 4-year program of academic studies, leadership, military training, athletics, and character development. The Academy provides graduates with the experience and knowledge to lead the Air Force into the 21st century.
Rams in front as we take you back to the second half there in Fort Collins. This is a team in Colorado State whose season was basically hanging on the brink. They rallied against Wyoming. Now they're a whole new team.
Yeah, and Air Force isn't going to be able to do anything with them unless they mix up their option, maybe some counter option or something. But, Coach, I don't know if that's enough against Colorado State.
Rams are playing with emotion. They want to go bowling.
They no guarantees if they get this win, but it'd be a good start. We'll get you back to Mike, Kirk, Lee, and Jerry Punch. The second half from Fort Collins. Kevin McDougal, 100+ rushing in the first half, and that touchdown pass. The margin's 14.
Introducing e-bike, Lee Iacocca's electric bike, pedaling optional.
Available at Huntington Beach Dodge, Beach Boulevard just south of the 405.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, look what I found.
That's a puppy. Cute girls own puppies.
Let's go.
Is this guy yours?
Sorry. I don't know where he lives.
Is this your dog?
Hey, sorry.
Did you lose a little puppy?
No.
We just need a good home. I wonder if he's housebroken.
Okay, I guess we know the answer to that.
The Civic from Honda. Where will it take you?
Students at Colorado State University are surrounded by natural inspiration. An intimate and supportive academic environment helps them to live full and rewarding lives. Technology connects them to the world, and they learn from the leading minds who generate research breakthroughs in the arts and sciences. It all happens in a naturally open and genuine environment. Colorado State University, the natural place to learn.
Today, one play at a time. Play it smart, John. Let's play it smart. Everybody staying together, playing as tough as you can play. One play at a time. Now let's get after it. Let's go.
Sonny Lubick trying to lead Colorado State to a 7th win on the year. Air Force finding itself behind CSU. They were last year. They are again this year. Start of the 3rd quarter. Mike, Lee, and Kirk, glad to be back with you here in Fort Collins. The quarterback play for Air Force was good. Thiessen ran it well, but the quarterback play for CSU was very good.
Well, the play of Matt Newton has been exceptional. We talked about it early in the game and how he has developed as a quarterback. He's become more confident. 10 of 16 in the first half, 153 yards with 1 score and a pick. But his confidence, I think, is opening up the doors for the running back, Kevin McDougal, playing well on offense.
You got to give Colorado State's defensive coordinator, Larry Kerr, a lot of credit. He's held Air Force Academy without a touchdown. But remember one point, it's an interesting point. The Air Force Academy have scored 125 points in the second half. That's over 100 points more than they have in the first half. This team will not give up. They got good leadership, and they got good personnel. They'll be back.
Make adjustments. Toughness, absolutely.
Toughness. One thing also what I forgot to mention on the fact, Mike, is I always, when I played wishbone teams, and I know Larry does this, you always keep a defense that you haven't used before because they make such great adjustments at halftime, and you spring it on them in the second half. Watch Colorado State to do some different things.
Absolutely no passing yards for the Air Force Academy in the first half.
See, and I think that is huge. I think 0 passing yards for Air Force, and I know that they're a team that has to run the football, but in the second half, they don't need to scrap their attack, but they need to throw the ball a little bit more effectively to open up some other things.
Air Force to get the ball into the wind for this 3rd quarter. The Hurst kickoff, the first one to be returned tonight. Scotty McKay will give it a shot. Brought down to the 15. Fabulous special teams hit from Wallace Thomas, 84, a reserve defensive end. So Mike Thiessen will take over. A very good first half for Thiessen in terms of running the ball statistically, 8 for 71.
There's nothing like it starting off to have the special teams knock somebody on the kickoff. But remember, the first 6 minutes of the second half usually determines how the second half goes, Kirk. This is a very important drive for the Air Force Academy.
Nathan Beard will start at the fullback spot. Late pitch. Out of bounds. Not a good start. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch. Go ahead, Jerry.
Guys, at halftime, Air Force head coach Fisher DeBerry very concerned about the mental mistakes. Very atypical for this kind of very disciplined offense. Concerned about the mental mistakes on his offense. 4th and short, a procedure penalty cost them a chance at continuing a drive and possibly a score. He talked very animatedly to his offense at the locker room at halftime. They have got to be able to maintain their assignments and their discipline. They have got to move the football here on this first drive in the second half.
2nd and 16. Matt Farmer, first catch. A lot of room. First down across the 32. Farmer, a senior, has caught 26 balls this year. In the top 5 all-time receptions and receiving yards for Air Force.
I know Colorado State really respects his ability, and that's something they need to do. We talked about it here at the beginning of the half. They got to get Matt Farmer more involved. They have to throw the football. There he adjusts, goes up, makes the catch, and then he has the speed to get upfield to get the first down.
Matt Farmer is the first Air Force Academy receiver ever to be invited to the Hula Bowl. That means he's a sensational receiver.
First down from the 32. The toss goes to Chris Wade. He'll pick up another first down. 12 yards.
Exactly what I told you, didn't I? They came out exactly like you hoped. A nice little pass, but you notice they've used 2 plays in the third quarter that they never used in the first half. The wishbone teams are sensational at that.
Why?
Because they can see the adjustments and they know exactly what to do against it. And the staff's been together like 60 years. They know everything.
Well, this staff has been together so long that they make great adjustments at halftime. Everybody comes up with a new way to attack this offense attack, and at halftime they make the proper adjustments and find a new way to go after you.
45, Rillos, 1 yard. Man is tackled by Eric Olson, senior, Ventura, California.
Colorado State, whether it's the option or whether it's the sweep to the outside, doing a good job of stretching things, allowing their pursuit and the speed of their defense to catch up to the ball carrier.
There's Larry Kerr, the defensive coordinator. He's been nominated by the American Football Coaches Association as the assistant coach of the year, a nominee. That's a great honor for that man right there.
Well deserved. We've been here, we've seen him 3 times. He always seems to come up with some good schemes.
That's a nice award, too. It's a great idea to recognize the coordinators. Chris Wade trying to drag CSU tacklers, but John Howell made sure he was going no farther. Remember, Ula Tuateli was hurt in the first half, back on the field here in the third quarter.
Tuateli comes from the inside out. Remember, he had a leg problem, but you watch him in the middle. His responsibility is inside, 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 and then out. Nice pursuit. Nice play. He's just slow enough to play that play. A real fast linebacker would have went right past the guy.
Well, you can see he's slowed down because of the injury, but the thing you have to love, it's his last game here this year. There is no way you're going to hold him out in this second half.
Important third down for Air Force. They'll throw. Drive. Fleming had it, got popped. Ball came out, it was incomplete. What a hit by John Howell.
Imagine being a wide receiver, Matt Farmer here coming across the middle.
And it's punting time, means Dallas Davis has the opportunity to perhaps get his hands on the ball. Well, Scott Grivens done a nice job, the Air Force punter, of kicking away from the man who scored twice on Thursday Night Football 3 weeks ago. Kick it to the sidelines. Caught by the Colorado State cheerleaders. Not inside the 20. The drive will start just outside the 20 after this timeout. CSU by 14.
Surely that can't be the trash bag she wanted taken out. Perhaps she's forgotten. A man's boot has been known to flatten garbage to the density of a fruitcake. That's right. Looks like someone just engineered himself a more efficient use of his time. Now that's living the high life.
Round the road to number 1. Everyone's dream to join our team and know how they like to play. We make every single Saturday football holiday. BCS the bus up on the guest we must headed out of town. Fade left, go right to the party coming down. America's biggest road show. Come down to New Orleans. And don't you shoot for an ABC.
Yeah! Woo! We're on the road to the Nokia Sugar Bowl! And nothing's gonna stop us! Look out! Now what?
There's an easier way to the national championship. Nokia's Road to #1 sweepstakes. Just buy any Nokia model phone in a specially marked box and you can win trips to the Nokia Sugar Bowl or thousands of other great prizes.
Looks like you finally found yourself a date for the game.
Nokia. Connecting people.
Oh, it looks so beautiful. Well, honey, what's the matter? Mommy, I can't sleep.
You're just excited about tomorrow, Dan. Back into bed, Tiger.
Come to Lowe's for a great selection of trees and trimmings at prices so low, you won't know when to stop decorating. Lowe's. Great gifts, great prices.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday night primetime college football is brought to you by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse, because Lowe's knows. And by Inspired Technology with a human touch. Nokia, connecting people.
Story goes, when Lieutenant Collins was dispatched from Cheyenne, Wyoming to protect against the Indian raids, named the town after him, Fort Collins. Sure, he didn't envision a major university here, but here it is, Colorado State University. And the football team representing the school, looking for a 7th win of the year, leading 20-6. They run McDougal on first down. Picking up where he left off. They can't bring him down. 6 yards. For McDougal, Tony Metters made the tackle. Kevin McDougal over 100 yards in the first half. It'll be second down. ESPN's First and 10 is presented by AMD Athlon Processor. You see the First and 10 line along the 30, where Colorado State has to get to keep the drive going. A very solid first half on the offensive end. It's 3.5 games now that CSU's offense has played well. McDougal right at the line. Should have a first down.
Kevin McDougal on 111 yards right now carrying the football, but he's done so many other things for this offense here, picking up a blitz, doing a good job of giving his quarterback Matt Newton time to throw. Here on a screen pass, delays, moves off to the right wing, and then gets upfield and shows the ability as usual to break the tackle. And here, showing something he hasn't shown this year, the touch, throwing the ball for the touchdown. Kevin McDougal is a complete back, and when he's healthy, he's one of the best backs in all of college football.
The reason I like him more and more is he played hurt. And in the National Football League, on the next level, he's going to have to play hurt. And he's tough enough to go up in that league, play hurt, and continue to have good records.
So often they look at the speed, you know, that burst to see what you have. But with a guy like Kevin McDougal, it's the heart and the courage. And hopefully there's a spot for him at that next level.
In the right offense, one-back set, power football. Certainly a place for McDougal. He did pick up the first down, so from the 30. Newton almost got his feet caught up with the offensive lineman. Dallas Davis could not bring it down. Tough throw, tough catch. Jerry Punch.
Guys, Colorado State orthopedic surgeon Rocky Trumper on the phone a moment ago with the hospital locally has gotten the word that Corey Woolston, who was tight end injured in the first half, his x-rays, his MRI of his neck are negative. He has just minimal numbness and tingling remaining in the left arm. They're thinking now it may simply be a stretch of the brachial plexus, a nerve stretch when his head was down and his shoulder was pulled to the side, but nothing broken. That's great news.
Oh, absolutely, Jerry. Glad to hear that. The game was delayed a little bit in the first half for Woolston Hume's injury, but that's the wonderful news of the night. McDougal, a couple of first down yards. It'll be second down. You know, while we have a second, guys, all of us who are part of the family that is college football, our thoughts go out to the families and friends of those who lost their lives at Texas A&M, continuing one of the great traditions in college football that has been a great tradition, and the bonfire before the Texas A&M game. Our thoughts and prayers are not only with the family and friends, but all the Aggies across the land tonight. 3rd and 7 pass is incomplete. Fans want flags, and one comes from 40 yards away from the play.
Came from Ken Griffey territory in deep, deep center field.
They did eventually call the offside penalty, although we did not initially see that flag down, but the pass interference one will be the one that hurts.
Offside on the defense. That penalty is refused. Pass interference. Defense at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Goes back to Doc's point. Fisher DeBerry talked to us yesterday about it. Critical mistakes. They had a lot of critical mistakes in the first half. And here, once again, in the second half, they start off with more penalties. Just self-destructing. Drives a coach nuts, right, Coach?
Absolutely.
Colorado State leading by 14. Looking for more. Newton's pass is nearly intercepted by the defensive lineman. Well, nearly a disastrous mistake. Newton had a linebacker interception in the first half. That time was almost a defensive lineman. Mike Tirico, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Dr. Jerry Punch in front of 32,000 here at Hughes Stadium, Fort Collins, Colorado. The recipe of good defense and good running has worked well for Sonny Lubick before. And it's working well again tonight. His star running back, Kevin McDougal, had over 100 yards in the first half. He sits at 115 on the night, and Colorado State leads by 14. Both teams are 6-3. The winner's bowl hopes stay alive. The loser will be home for the holidays. Newton throws. Rebstock, who caught a touchdown earlier, gets a first down now. Pete Rebstock, sophomore, Inglewood, Colorado, a Denver suburb.
Big cushion to the outside there once again by Smog. Look at him push. Rebstock will push, act like he's going deep. He turns Smog, and once he turns him, he's got him. Ball's perfectly thrown to the outside. Picks up the first down. Good job of pushing Smog deep, selling the deep route.
80 yards on 4 catches on the night for the sophomore Rebstock. That is his most productive game of the season. Toss McDougal. Justin Borvansky, the center, tried to lead the way. He only gets about 3 yards. Well, as soon as we're done here in the Mountain West at Sports Center with Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen. Pedro Martinez MVP debate. Drew Bledsoe and the Pats trying to bounce back from the loss to the Jets, and the ESPN.com question of the night. We want to get you so enraptured in that question, we're not even going to tell you what it is. You've got to come watch Sports Center coming up after the game. How about leaving Pedro Martinez off a couple MVP ballots, huh? Those people not a little self-involved. From midfield, it is 2nd and 7. Newton's throw is late, and Nick Schaumburg, the junior tight end, watched it sail past him. Can too strong an arm be a liability for a quarterback? Can you feel like you can jam it in every time?
Well, you feel as a quarterback with a big arm, you feel confident you can jam it in. I think the toughest thing for a young college quarterback that has a strong arm is to develop the touch. Certain balls you want to be able to unleash and really throw with a lot of authority. And then there's others you need to develop that very soft, finessed ball, and it takes a touch. It takes a little bit of time to develop that.
But it's never a problem if your arm's too strong, sweetheart. Remember that.
Rather have too strong than too weak, huh?
Thank you very much.
3rd and 7, unload the cannon. Dallas Davis trying to come back for it. Flag on Sean Smog.
Davis is one-on-one with Smog, and then watch this play as we come along into it. Just a second. Davis beats Smog, and then Smog just runs and doesn't look back at all until it's too late, and he runs right into the guy. You made a point about 5 weeks ago. It's the same thing. If a guy doesn't look like he's going to try to catch it on defense, they always call that play, don't they?
Yep.
It's a perfect example of it.
If a defender does not at least act as if he knows where the ball is, chances are they're going to throw the flag.
See, I remember you said that 5 weeks ago, and I've been watching for it, and that, again, is a perfect picture of it.
You remember that?
Yep. It was a good point.
Good job.
6 flags on Fisher DeBerry's team. They average only 5 penalties per game.
You know, the Air Force cornerbacks on those deep balls have to do a better job of finding the football. You look through the ear hole of the receiver and watch his eyes. When he starts to look up, you have to look up and locate the football. Otherwise, you're going to have penalties, and you're going to give up the deep ball.
Brad Svoboda in the game and moving forward is McDougal. Inside the 15-yard line. 21 yards. Here's Jerry.
I'm standing with a very proud McDougal family, Mike, Kathy, and Sean McDougal from Arvada. And Mike, you played here at Colorado State. You seen your son have some great nights, but none better than tonight.
Oh, it's been a great night for him. He's got the longest run of his career, and he's looks like it's going to be a good game. Great offensive line play, too.
And Kathy, I'm told he got a lot of his toughness from his mom. He's played with a lot of injuries this year.
Well, I hope that's true. You know, he's been a pretty stalwart Ram this year, so we hope he keeps going for the rest of this game and one more game.
And talk about another McDougal who may be coming this way. After the play, we'll talk to the youngest McDougal, younger brother Sean.
On the 14, there goes big brother Kevin, pounding off Air Force tacklers to the 7. Go ahead, Doc.
Hey, Sean, how does it feel to know that your brother may be one of the toughest guys on the football field? He wears about a quarter of a mile of tape every night to play football.
Well, I don't like about that much tape, but I like him playing real tough and just...
Are you as tough as he is?
Sometimes I can be.
All right, 11-year-old Sean McDougal. One more coming down. Probably headed to be a Ram in the future, guys. A very proud McDougal family.
Great story, Jerry, and he's just a few yards away from 1,000 on the season. 3-yard carry will get McDougal over the 1,000-yard mark. There's an injured player on the field. That's why the delay right now. And it's Blaine Sapia. Lee, the outstanding offensive tackle, is shaken up. He's had such a good game. And you saw after the pass interference call, he was leading the charge down the field. An emotional leader as well as one of the best performers who's led the way tonight for McDougal.
He's part of that senior class that every time we come here, Sonny Lubick talks so fondly about. It's a small group, but because of their work ethic, because of their toughness, I think there's really a special bond there between the coaching staff and this senior class. Hopefully this team will make it to a bowl game for their sake, but if not, Sonny Lubick will remember this season, 1999, as a very special one to him.
Because of Sapia, the injured offensive lineman, and McDougal, a small senior class of a dozen. McDougal looking at that 1,000-yard mark, but more concerned about his injured offensive lineman. Be back after this.
State Farm presents Rules of the Game.
We're talking about formations. In this play, there are only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. What, if anything, is wrong with this play?
Trouble doesn't wear a watch. That's why State Farm offers its 24-hour Good Neighbor service from participating agents.
Hello, State Farm's Good Neighbor Service. This is Gina. How may I help you? Sure, I can help you with that.
So you can call your agent's office at any time, day or night, to start a claim, ask a question, and get the help you need.
We're talking about formations. In this play, there are only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. This is a foul, as the rule states there must always be 7 men on the line of scrimmage.
Rules of the Game has been brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Discipline creates performance. AIM funds. The idea is discipline. The purpose is performance. The name is AIM.
Alabama-Auburn, the Iron Bowl. This is as big as it gets in college football.
Auburn at 7:30, Saturday on ESPN.
There's Blaine Sapaia, still in some pain. As he comes to the bench, Kevin McDougal, who's been delivering the blows, more than half of his yards coming after contact tonight. 2nd and 4. He's a couple of yards away from 1,000 for the season. He'll get the 1,000 right here. Stopped at the 5. Should get there right on the nose.
Remember one thing again, we've been keeping an update on this because this is impressive. Colorado State's been inside the red zone 24 times this year, scored 22, 18 touchdowns. This is why, because they can run the football effectively, and then they can play action if necessary.
That baby just keeps going up. I remember you brought 10 up in the first quarter. It just keeps going. The chart just keeps moving up.
That's very, very impressive. And in fact, if I ever got back in coaching, I would have a rule. If you get inside the 15-yard line, no more of those sissy field goals. Right. Either run the thing in or leave it there.
But when Sebastian kicks them.
No, they're long ones.
They're right. Yeah,
it's the long ones.
I'll give it. Sebastian was 13 for 13 inside the 40-yard line. That's stuff for Saturday.
That's the good stuff, right?
Florida State, 13 for 13.
Aaron Green, a redshirt freshman, in for Sapaia. McDougal picked up the first down. It's 1st and goal. That's a man. Nick Schaumburg couldn't get the touchdown. Came very close. Boy, if Air Force ever needs to hold him here to a field goal, it's this series.
After he comes off his fake, Lee just talked about the play action. Right here, he has Schaumburg all by himself. As a quarterback, you want to throw it right now. Turn the shoulders and throw the football. And he was unable to do that. He waited a little bit too long. Then he's thrown all the way against his body. He needed to turn right away, turn the shoulders, and deliver the ball on time.
This is the time where you give it to McDougal, though, on 2nd down.
There he is.
Right there.
Touchdown. Mom and Dad and all the family friends very happy. His brother played here before. His dad was a former CSU Ram, and Sonny Lubick, who has a lot of respect for Kevin McDougal, tried very hard to recruit McDougal. There were 3 schools involved at the end. McDougal said he came very close to going to Air Force. Tonight, he's making them pay.
McDougal is a big, strong guy, makes a good offensive line, but watch the thing I like most about him, Kurt. See that low center of gravity? He drops that shoulder, and he just keeps moving right there. Boy, I really like the way he drops that shoulder.
I mean, we have a completely different appreciation for him running tonight with such authority. We knew that he was a tough back, but when he is healthy, he is a completely different-looking back because of the way he's able to break tackles. And little man, he's excited. He knows it's another touchdown for Big Brother.
That was a business-like one for Sean.
He's like, hey, that's cool.
2 yards. He only knocked down 1 guy on that play. That's okay.
By the way, should mention not only the red zone stat, this is the first time, you got to remember, Colorado State has had the ball in the second half. They held Air Force, forced the punt, and then they took 11 plays, 80 yards, 4 minutes, 22 seconds. Very impressive drive to start things off offensively for the Rams.
They've now scored 19 touchdowns in 25 times into the red zone. That's impressive. Forget those field goals. Forget them.
You want a marker to update that?
No, I haven't.
They get in the red zone later? Okay, good. Make sure we continue to stay updated on that stat throughout the night.
Oh, we will. Don't worry.
College Game Day comes your way from Gainesville, Florida. Lee and Kirk join Chris going from the Rockies to the Swamp. And then noon, the Old Oaken Bucket, Purdue, Indiana. The Iron Bowl at 7:30, Alabama and Auburn. A healthy Ben Laird made a huge difference for Auburn. It's all on ESPN. Your home for Bowl Week.
It's all about, we get a big one in Gainesville, but it's all about Purdue and Indiana.
That game hasn't been on national TV in a while.
I can't remember it.
First down, Air Force. Thiessen runs with Becker for a few yards. Coach, you were a part of the Old Oaken Bucket rivalry, Purdue, Indiana.
I lost to him 3 times in a row, 73, 4, 5. 76, I won it. I went over to get the bucket. I said, where's the bucket? They said, we don't bring the bucket to the Indiana game anymore. I said, why not? Because you guys never win. I said, give me the bucket. I had to send a guy over to get it on Sunday. I brought it home. And Sunday night, I slept with it, Mike. I slept with it between my legs. And everything had eyes and
all right,
keys
that's
all
enough
over me.
information.
It was great.
It's after 10, so we're past the family hour, so we can say that publicly. It's
sleeping with the bucket.
Yeah, I did.
Scotty McKay, 2nd and 6 opening. He gets down to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 17, and Air Force needed that. So you Purdue and Indiana players, good luck on Saturday, and know if you win that bucket, Lee Corso slept there.
Absolutely. Cam Cameron needs that. That's a big win for him. He's a young football coach who got the program turning around. I think that'll be a high-scoring game. The games are played at Bloomington, so there's always a chance for Indiana for an upset.
Can they do it without Wally, though? You know, that's tough to do to stop Drew Brees.
No way.
Let's see if Air Force can build on the ground attack. The run by Becker, who spins through for about 6 yards, maybe 7. They'll move the chains. This is the one problem when you're Air Force and you end up in a huge hole, down in this case by 21. You can't go to the air to get a quick score.
It's one thing to be down 17 in the first quarter and have 3 more quarters to be able to stick to the offense and get back into things, but they really are not built offensively to get into a 2, 3, and 4 receiver set and just say, hey, we need to air it out to get back into it. So time clearly becomes a huge factor in this football game.
You see the last 3 drives, they have not held on to the ball at all. Thiessen made a nice move to leap over a would-be tackler. He did pick up the first down, but could have had a lot more if he would have been able to stay on his feet. The injured Colorado State offensive lineman, Sapaia. The first quarter was pretty even, but the ensuing 25 minutes have been all CSU. Thiessen's pass is incomplete, intended for Ryan Fleming.
Thiessen is much comfortable, obviously, being an athletic quarterback, running that option, running the play action passes. When he's asked to step back, the coaches say he's becoming a better passer. He has plenty of arm. Playing shortstop for the baseball team, he's got the arm. Just has to become more confident again as a young quarterback.
Just checking here, 21-6 was a deficit Air Force faced. That was late third quarter, though, against Utah. This is the biggest deficit they've faced this year. Wide open and dropped by Ken Chandler, the tight end. That was a get back in the game opportunity, and they know it. This is a kid, Chandler, who never sees the ball. He caught 1 pass all of last year, caught a touchdown last week, and said, I wish they'd call my number just once every couple of games.
Coaches feel he's the best tight end they've ever had. Keep an eye on him right here. The key is the play action. Once the play action, once they come in, the safety's going to follow over here in the zone. This safety's going to follow the back. Nobody right there, right in the middle, and Chandler is all by himself. He would have walked into the end zone. Good throw by Thiessen.
He tries it again. That was not a replay. That was live.
Now, the interesting thing about Ken Chandler is this. He's 6'3", 265, and Fisher DeBerry told us of all the players he's got, this is one guy that could play in a National Football League if he was someplace else. But he has a 5-year obligation to go to serve. He just missed 2 passes that were right in his hands, but he calls him the best tight end he ever had.
Best tight end he's ever had.
My gosh.
Trying to get it to the coffin corner. It goes through the end zone and touchback. Ken Chandler, senior out of California. So frustrating. He rarely sees the ball. Scored a touchdown last week. Had an opportunity this week and didn't get it.
Connell Chevrolet, a family automotive tradition since 1960, located on the Harbor Boulevard of Cars in Costa Mesa. Connell's people make the difference every day. They offer the best prices possible with payments to meet your family's budget. They back up the genuine Chevrolet nameplate with more master technicians than any other Chevy dealer in Southern California. It's all here at Connell Chevrolet, serving you for almost 40 years. Connell's people do make the difference. We welcome your business at Connell Chevrolet on the Harbor Boulevard of Cars in Costa Mesa.
center meal starts at 9:53 a.m. with the Did You Know as my appetizer for the 10 o'clock show, which is my main course.
It's just filthy with the crossover.
And for dessert, I don't know, the ice cream with the cookie dough is pretty good.
It's ESPN Sunday Night Football. Ditka and the Saints go marching into Jacksonville to mix it up with Mark Brunell and the Jags. Saints-Jaguars, Sunday at 8:15 on ESPN.
I am so there.
Well, what might have been for Thiessen and the Air Force offense, a couple of drop passes that would have moved the chains. Frustrated tight end. Ken Chandler can only sit and watch as Colorado State gets it back. Rashawn Sanders is now in the game, replacing Kevin McDougal. They'll go to the air, and Dallas Davis. Sapaia back in the game, through a block, and helped Davis get out to the 35. It's a 15-yard pickup. So Matt Newton moves his team 15 yards forward. Get another first down for CSU tonight. They've had great scoring drives, 80, 80, 73, and 97 yards. First and 10 for Colorado State. ESPN's First and 10 presented by AMD Athlon Processor. Leon Smith leads the blocking way for Rashawn Sanders, who's knocked out of bounds. If you weren't with us earlier this year, we told you Sanders' story. Out of a very small high school in San Diego, really fell in love with the Colorado State program during the Holiday Bowl a few years ago when he was selling programs at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego and tried to sneak a peek and watch as much of the game as possible. Fell in love with CSU, was recruited by them late in the process, sent them some tape so they could become familiar with him, and the freshman's done a nice job this year.
Rashaan Salam, the Heisman Trophy winner, played the same league.
What you lose in strength and durability, you pick up in quickness with Sanders in the backfield.
Newton has Ochoa with him to block, and the other tight end Schaumburg, and Newton does a nice job of picking up the first down. He's been good holding on to the ball and making decisions. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, big number 61, Blaine Sapaia, is playing with a separated or mildly separated right shoulder. Has a lot of trouble raising up his right hand. Now, he is back in the ballgame. I asked the doctors, I said, is he going to go back in and play? He said, well, unless his arm is missing, this is the kind of kid you can't keep off a playing field.
And that added adrenaline of senior night in this rivalry. Just wants to, if physically possible, savor every last moment here in Fort Collins.
Yeah, he does. I looked up.
Straight drop back toss. Set up the screen, actually, for Sanders. Hit hard by Tony Jones. Flag is down. What a pop from the senior out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Tackle made by Tony Jones. The flag on the play.
Flag was thrown in the secondary.
There's no foul. The pass was completed behind the line of scrimmage. There's no foul.
Enjoyed visiting with Fisher DeBerry last night, didn't we, guys? He's a wonderfully charming person at age 62. Lee talked about his success and in terms of academy head coaches, passing Brett Blake, winning his head coach at Air Force. When you talk about tenure of coaches at one school, you have Jopa, Lavelle Edwards. And the list is very short until you go down and find Fisher DeBerry. We're going to show you the list momentarily. He's been at the Air Force Academy for quite some time. McDougal back in the game. McDougal back in the secondary. Brought down at the 14. He is having an unbelievable night. 34 yards there. Bring him up to 184 on the night.
Kevin McDougal's a tremendous cutback runner. Watch, he'll start to go to the right, the left, and he'll cut back right here. But now also watch him change the ball. Right here, change hands, and use a stiff arm. Red Grange was the last guy to do that. Modern day football players don't do that. That was a tremendous play by Kevin McDougal of changing the ball.
And again, we haven't said this enough. It's the offensive line play that's opening up this zone blocking up front, allowing him to pick up all these yards.
McDougal a break. Sanders back in from the 14. Rashawn Sanders did not stay in bounds. Cannon fire, no. Band, no. We have him out of bounds at about the 3. Or did he get in? Let's see. Yes, he did. There's an official standing out of bounds there at the 3-yard line who was pointing to the ground. Nobody put up their arms, but it was a touchdown. Oh, well. My apologies, Rashawn. Extra point's good. It's 34-6.
Tight end number 80, Nick Schaumburg, does a good job of sealing this, allowing a running lane for the running back, Rashawn Sanders. Good change of pace here. Look at the block by number 17, Leon Smith. The quickness of Sanders combined with the tough running of Kevin McDougal gives the Rams really a nice 1-2 punch.
Are you guys ready? 26 times in the red zone, 24 scores, 20 touchdowns. Very, very impressive.
I guess when the touchdowns get that easy, the officials don't bother to put their arms up. It's a great running night for this team.
I'm telling you one thing, Kirk. You and I were there when BYU clobbered his football team. I'd love to see BYU play Colorado State now.
Yeah.
That would be a football game.
Sure would.
With Kevin McDougal running the football. Ooh, he didn't even play in that game.
And the other thing, Matt Newton playing now with confidence.
Much better.
You know, and the offensive line coming together.
Scotty McKay and Leotis Palmer will just watch that one go through. It's a touchback. Thanksgiving night, we hope to see you from Starkville, Mississippi. The Rebels and the Bulldogs. Last year was a very exciting game on Thanksgiving night. They'll renew the rivalry, the battle for the Golden Egg, starting with a Thanksgiving edition of Thursday Game Night presented by Gateway at 7:30 Eastern. Both teams have huge games coming up this week.
Mike, I'm going to take you to Little Dewey's. You're going to have a good time there.
In Starkville?
Oh, yeah.
You can't go to Dewey's. You got to have turkey.
Little Dewey's. One of the days we're going to have Little Dewey's.
No, you can't.
Thiessen lost the snap, fumbled the football. It's battled for, and Colorado State has recovered. You guys are going to have plenty of time in the fourth quarter to make plans for us. Ula Tuatele, injured earlier, back in the game and comes up with the turnover.
You see there the center's trying to stretch there on a scoop block, and quarterback Mike Thiessen never got his hands on the ball, and clearly Colorado State picks it up. This is the time of the year where you start talking about bowl teams and teams that should be eligible, things of that nature. We travel around the country. We see a lot of college football. We see a lot of teams. How many bowls are there now, Mike?
44 teams, I think, get into bowls now, so it's 22. McDougal a run. Okay, keep going.
You think we could somehow find a way to find Colorado State to sneak them into one of these bowl games? This team, the way they're playing right now, without a doubt, deserves to go to some type of bowl game.
Well, the problem becomes, to avoid that whole fiasco of bowl deals getting done, conferences about 5-6 years ago started doing the deals to their third team, their fourth team. Here's the Mountain West standings. As you see, everybody has 2 losses in that 2 spot. BYU at the top spot at 5-1. If BYU beats Utah on Saturday, BYU will win the conference, and then we're battling for second place with a couple of losses. Newton throws to Redstock, who has 1 touchdown tonight. Did he get a second? Yeah, great play. Touchdown, CSU.
guy that has a lot of heart. This is one of the favorite plays that Colorado State runs. Pete Rebstock, number 4, 5'9", 180, and he's going to stretch it out to try. Look at the effort there to get the ball into the end zone. Nice job by the little wide receiver.
That's old Sapahia out there again.
Yeah, always out there.
Number 61, that's his play.
Never would I have expected this.
Keep your eyes on number 61, the right tackle, Blaine Sapahia. There he is. He comes out at 310 pounds and cleans up the secondary. You'll see him right there. Now, keep your eye on right there. Makes a good block, good running. Notice the nice feet. I tell you what, I'm not so sure that that kid can't play in the next level with those feet.
His feet are the reason they call that play 5 to 10 times, where it's a quick flanker screen out to the outside, but very rarely do you see the screen way out wide. Typically, it's that screen, a jailbreak screen, where they come to the inside with the receiver. At Colorado State, they keep it out wide and allow Sapahia, the athletic offensive tackle, to get outside and block.
Their season started with a win over rival Colorado. Their last home game is going to be a win over Air Force. It will complete a great triple for CSU. Here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, I told you Blaine Sapahia has a dream of maybe sometime before he leaves this institution catching a pass. Now, every day in practice, they practice a certain play where he is uncovered. Now, you're right, Coach. Because of his number 61, he is not an eligible receiver, but he actually backs up and takes a lateral thrown to him by Matt Newton. He said, if we got a big lead late in the year, before you leave this institution, you might be a receiver. So, guys, keep your eyes peeled.
Cale Bonds is in the game at quarterback. And he hands off to Jeremy Laster, and the senior from North Carolina picks up a few yards. Well, this would have been a great night for Cale Bonds if he would have gotten the start. He's been the starter for a good part of the year. Came into the season, earned the job, had some success. The ankle injury against San Diego State afforded Mike Thiessen the opportunity to come in and earn the starting job. Bonds comes from Englewood, Colorado. 2nd and 5 play here. Bit better thrower. Finds Matt Farmer. Nice catch by Farmer. Markers down back by where the throw happened.
We talked about Farmer as being one of the best receivers that the Academy's ever had. And we mentioned this. Remember this. They've had a lot of good players, but he's the first receiver ever to be selected to go to the Hula Bowl, which means he's got great athletic ability and he's good as any of those guys on the Pac-10. I like it because of the fact he's also got good size, 6'1", 195. That's a great play for him.
They roughed the passer.
Leading with his helmet against the defense. 15-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down.
Cale Bonds has been sitting around for most of this game. He comes off the bench. And Clark Higgins welcomes him. That's one way to get the jitters out. You know, as a quarterback coming off the bench, you're freezing. All of a sudden, Clark Higgins nails you after you complete a pass. And all of a sudden, you're ready to go. You're into things.
Timeout, Colorado State. Saw something they didn't like. Take a break. 41-14 was once a deficit erased in this series. This one's a little bigger.
I'm Bill. He's Matt. The NCAA Game Breaker 2000, where Michigan took on Ohio State. Down south, the Vols were battling Arkansas. And we've got a special NCAA Final Four 2000 report for you. In fact, right now, we're going to go to a live feed with Georgia coach Jim Herrick.
Yeah, hold on a second. I got to give these two Nimrods a soundbite.
Jimbo. Yeah.
$90,000 United employees are doing what they can to make air travel better. Rising is performance.
Are you an athlete if you only play for bragging rights? What if your team is now your family? Are you an athlete if your toughest competition is yourself? Or if you inherit your uniform? What if you don't play sports at all anymore? Are you an athlete? Always. Russell Athletic for the long run.
Force's throat with Kevin McDougal. That's the storyline tonight. Air Force hasn't been able to get much done on offense. Colorado State scored touchdowns on its last 5 possessions, and this man's been the star. Led by his offensive lineman on senior night, Sapaia. After the timeout, it's 1st and 10. Anytime you guys want to stop playing La Bamba in the stadium, you're welcome. Cale Bonds to the 23-yard line. You know, like there's a whole band here. We're playing top 40 songs. You know, this Cale Bonds story is pretty interesting. He and Matt Newton, they went to the same high school. Newton, in '94, the Colorado State quarterback, led Englewood to the state title. Bonds played quarterback in '95 and followed what Newton did, leading his team to the state title as a quarterback. They had hoped that this would be a head-to-head between the two. Bonds takes it down to the 10-yard line. We're talking big high school titles, too. 5A state titles here in a state where they play some good football, Colorado. Newton, who has become the starter, has had very good numbers throughout the year in terms of passing, but they've really improved the last few games, and you saw them tonight with his strong arm. Bonds was the starter coming into the season, but lost the job because of injury. Fighting at the goal line for the touchdown, and they got it. Well, Fisher DeBerry's team shows a little heart, comes back down the field, and Cale Bonds, who just lost his starting job this week, leads a touchdown drive that Jeremy Laster finished off.
Laster makes a good effort right here. Now watch this. I love the way he drops his shoulder at the very end. Boom, right there. That looks like Kevin McDougal only in a white jersey. He keeps fighting. Get in there, young man. Good. Going to be 41-13.
They're coming. Now we go.
Those who traveled down from the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, technically traveled up since it's south of here, haven't had many push-ups to do or reasons to cheer. But now it's 41-13. Lester's 5th touchdown run of the year. Weaverville, North Carolina, the seniors' home. SportsCenter's coming up right after we're done with Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick. The American League MVP story, Drew Bledsoe and the Patriots. Lost to the Jets on Monday night, looking to bounce back in Miami this weekend. And the ESPN.com question of the night, which we understand is related to college football rivalries. I guess you just log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. You find out what the question is there. Rivalry weekend is so special in college football, and this has developed into a great one because of the comebacks that have happened, the last-minute finishes, and the fact that there's only a couple of hours separating these schools, and they're kind of on a very competitive level, and their ascent in college football in the 90s has paralleled each other. They've both been good teams in the late half of the 90s.
That and the fact that the games have been very competitive. You know, the Colorado State Rams have had some success, and Air Force has been able to come back over the last couple of years and have some success. And the way the games have come down to the last few minutes, I think always inspires a little bit more in these rivalries.
David Adams kicking off. Remember, Air Force is going into the wind, which has lessened a little bit tonight as we've gone on. Rashawn Sanders' kick return went out to the 25-yard line. Well, Kirk, you brought it up earlier, and I didn't want to get away from the point of the Mountain West Conference and bowl bids. Talked to Craig Thompson, the commissioner of this conference, they've locked down the Liberty Bowl for their champion and a Las Vegas Bowl bid for the second team. The problem is, the Las Vegas Bowl will have the opportunity to choose among those second-place teams as we go on here. And with Air Force not winning here tonight, it looks like Utah, Colorado State, Wyoming's impressive play certainly opened some eyes. But if BYU wins the conference, those are the teams that will be in the mix for the second bowl game out of this league.
Sometimes I think people around the country get confused, whether it's the Liberty Bowl or Las Vegas Bowl or the Citrus Bowl, no matter which bowl. When you hear Mountain West 2 or you hear Big Ten 2, they just assume, well, let's go to the standings and, okay, who finished in second place? That team is going to be going to that prospective bowl. That's not true. It's up to the bowl who sits at number 2, 3, or 4 to make that selection from that conference. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily come down to who has the best team. It comes down to who's going to turn on the TV and who's going to bring people to fill up their stadium. And in a case like that, that sometimes comes back to haunt a Colorado State.
Timeout called here by CSU. Jerry Punch.
And you're talking about the bowl situation. It all comes down to how many tickets they sell and how many hotel rooms they're going to use. That's why Colorado State this past week decided to put up their own website called CSURams.com to see exactly what would happen. They'll do a survey. How many people would come to a bowl game? How many hotel rooms would you use? And in 7 days, as of about 4:30 this afternoon here at Fort Collins, they had 2,300 responses and a pledge of over 6,100 tickets. They don't even have a bowl bid yet. It's in their website survey. Over 6,000 tickets promised thus far.
Let's get that guy.
The big fellow come. I guarantee that. He's coming. He's getting his tickets.
Let's get that guy on the floors of the casinos in Vegas. He'll certainly...
Got the Ram hat going. Yeah, there it is.
He's got the reverse on the mustache, the handlebar.
And
got the reverse Rams.
I tell you, I wish we had college game day so I could put that thing on. Would that be cute or what?
Second and 5 coming up. Credit the Colorado State administration for trying to show the Las Vegas Bowl folks that we can do it and get people there. Dwayne Ruff is the carrying man now to the 36-yard line. Part of the problem is Utah can drive about 6 hours. The feeling is that Utah may bring a lot of fans, and that's one of the things that CSU is trying to fight right now.
Exactly right. And one of the things you could right away jump to conclusions and come down on the Bulls and say that's not fair that the Bulls do this. But if you're the Citrus Bowl or you're the Las Vegas Bowl, you can understand why they're doing this. They want to bring people to their game.
They want to sell hotel rooms.
Exactly. So I mean, it's the system and the way it's set up. You cannot come down on the bowl games because they have to do that.
We should point out, for argument's sake, Colorado State did defeat Utah this year. 31-24 was the score. Ruff carries. The rushing yards continue to pile up for Colorado State tonight. 15 yards there. Another first down for CSU, and it'll take us to the fourth quarter where we can discuss, among other things, the bowl system and the BCS. Right. And what may lie ahead for Virginia Tech, even if they do win out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
A lot of issues to be discussed ahead. And a fourth quarter as well. It's been a night for the McDougal family. Well, Sean has seen his big brother on his final game at Hughes Stadium dominate the game. 66-yard run equaled the long of his career, powering over Air Force tacklers, and a touchdown pass as well. All part of a 41-13 lead as we head to the final 15 minutes.
The ACC Big Ten Challenge begins November 30th.
Hey, Dr. Ye? Dr. Ye. Have you ever used one of those shampoos and conditioners all in the same bottle?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of it?
I like it. Yeah, I use it. You have one in your...
Yeah, I got it right here.
That's the one I use. I like it.